I've seen you throw around, for want of a better word, throw around a few, first 11. I don't know whether they are your expectations of Coach Otoado, but before we get into the specifics of who gets to start for the Black Stars in Qatar, have you been generally impressed with the 26-man squad as released by Otoado this afternoon?
Oh yes, it's a decent squad. I'm not sure that there's any player out there who is performing extraordinarily who has not been invited. As is always the case, there will be those who will express one concern or the other about the selection that the coach has put out. Yeah. But I believe that he has the right group of players. At the moment, these are the players who, in my view, merit a call-up into the national team. Some may hold contrary opinions, and they are entitled to do so. But I don't think that we are missing any stellar performance in this particular team. All the bases have been covered. I think that for every position, we have the right kind of players with the right profile to do good by the country. If you look at the goalkeeping department, there has been some hiccup there. Yeah. And so we expected that Wallacott and Ofori would be in the team, but unfortunately they have sustained injuries which prevent them from doing so. And I'm particularly gutted for Wallacott, given all his contributions to the team's qualification, especially his performances against Nigeria. I was looking forward to seeing him, and he has quite a remarkable story. There's a player who faced a bit of prejudice, because of where he was coming from. People thought that the team he played for at the time was in the lower tier of the English leagues, and therefore he did not merit his position. But he proved his worth when we came up against no less an opposition than Nigeria. That led to a step up for him. He is now playing for Charlton Athletic. And so I look forward to him manning the posts in Qatar and giving of his best, based upon which his own fortunes at club level would improve. But unfortunately, he fractured his finger at the cruelest moment, 11th hour, and therefore missed selection. But I'm sure that he will be back in good time, and there will be plenty of opportunity for him to excel and man the post for us in future assignments. But that said, we have Atizigi, we have Manaf, we have Danlad. Atizigi, he has faced a lot of criticism. I think he's been unfortunate. He's been unlucky on some occasions when he's been imposed for us, because he has held his own at club level. If I'm not mistaken, he's about the highest profile goalkeeper we have at the moment. He's playing in the Swiss league, which has quite some serious competition. And he, week in, week out, he turns out for his team and puts out creditable performances. Unfortunately, in the national team setup, he has not had the kind of performance that you would expect. But at this moment, he's all we have. And so we have to throw our weight behind him. There's Manaf, who showed glimpses of brilliance against Chile.
In the Kirin Cup.
Exactly. He was mobile. He appears to be very comfortable on the ball, a ball-playing goalkeeper. On a number of occasions, he served as a sweeper and cleared some danger that the team was facing. And then he pulled up a penalty save, which then cemented his position in the hearts of many Ghanaian fans. So he is there entirely based on merit. I suspect that he would have been the third choice goalkeeper had Wallacott and Ofori stayed fit. Then there's Danlad, who is one of two local players who would fly the banner of the Ghana Premier League. I also am aware that some financial rewards would accrue to his team, Kotoko, and I'm sure they need all the money they can get in order to enhance their own fortunes domestically. So that has a bit of sentiment to it, but I think it's okay. He has been through the ranks at junior level, and there's an opportunity for him in the event that he gets the chance to man the post at some point to show what he is worth and fly the banner of the local league. So our goalkeeping department at the moment appears to have had some difficulty, but we hope for the best with the material that we have. I think that at the moment, these are the safest pair of hands we can count on, given the circumstance. In defense, I think we have quite a solid base. We have Dennis Odoi, Prof, who has distinguished himself since he first lined up for us against Nigeria and Kumasi. He has hardly put a foot wrong. He has been very, very good. At club level with Club Brugge, he's performed well. He's played at the highest level in the Champions League. Sometimes he turns out as a defensive midfielder. At other times, he turns out as a right back. At other times, too, he's a wing back. So he's quite versatile, and I think that he merits his position entirely. Then there is Tariq Lamptey, who is an even more exciting prospect. I watch him quite often. Even though these days he has had limited game time at Brighton. Anytime he comes on, he makes quite a difference. His energy, his pace, his charisma, his tackling, his crossing, these are valuable attributes that will renew to our benefits in the event that he is deployed. Yeah. So I think that we are covered there. In central defense, we have quite a stellar cast. There's Daniel Amate, who got off to a shaky start with Leicester this season, but he has recovered remarkably. And in the last few games, he has shown quite an impressive form. He also comes with tons of experience, which is required in these tournaments. So he is going to provide leadership at the back, and therefore we are better off having him. We are the richer for his experience and his tenacity and performances. Then there is Alexander Jiku, whose no-nonsense, all-action displays are precisely what we need at this moment. He takes no prisoners. He's an extremely robust tackler, but he's also neat at doing it. So he will provide some steel. I suspect that if we play in a 3-back formation, he will play as a sweeper, and therefore you can count on him to, snuff out any danger that may occur. Then there's Salisu, who we had quite some difficulty convincing, but since he agreed to play for us, at least in the 2 matches that he's played so far, he has shown fantastic attributes. He's a regular fixture these days at Southampton. He, left-sided centre-backs come at a premium. There are very few in the game, and it gives a particular advantage because where he plays makes it easy for us to transition and start the attack. It's easier for him to push the ball to surrounding players based on where he's positioned on the field because he is left-footed. Added to that is the fact that he's a ball-playing centre-back. He is very comfortable on the ball. He has fantastic passing accuracy. Indeed, in the last but one match that Southampton played, he actually provided an assist, which was very good. I mean, the assist he provided will be the envy of De Bruyne or any mercurial midfielder. So if you have a player like that, that is an asset that we need to value. Who has such accurate passing, and he's also a very good crosser of the ball. And then he also has quite some power with his throw-ins. So he does a lot of throw-ins for Southampton. And therefore, I'm happy that he's on the team, and he will provide some further steel and finesse to our defense. Then there is Ali Dusedu, who has shown himself to be a very versatile defender, who is regular at Clermont Foot in France. He can play as right back, he can play at left back, he can play in central defense. He's quite aggressive, and I like players like that who bring some steel and robustness to the defense. And then there's Joseph Edu, who also features regularly for Celta Vigo in the La Liga. He's quite robust, and I think that he is a good fit. I would have loved to see Patrick Pfeiffer, but of course I'm not going to question the coach's judgment. There's only so many players you can take, so there's limitation in terms of space. You have only 26 slots, so not everybody can go. But Patrick Pfeiffer is somebody who really interests me. His height alone is a massive advantage. He stands at 6'6", if I'm not mistaken. And for a team like ours that shows some frailties in terms of dealing with aerial balls in the match against Brazil, he would have come in handy. He could have kept tabs on tall attackers, the likes of Nunes and Co. Ronaldo is very good aerially. So someone like that would have provided sufficient cover aerially. And then added to that is the fact that he also likes scoring because of his area presence. All his goals, 4 goals that he scored for Darmstadt 98 this season, at the start of this season, have come from set pieces. He has added all those in. So those are attributes that we could have benefited from, given that we also don't score many goals from set pieces. So his side would have been an advantage. But I'm sure that in the near future, he would have the opportunity going forward. There are a number of players in our defense who I would argue are in the twilight of their career, at least national team career. And so
it's only a matter
of time before he turns out for us. So he's a very good acquisition, and he is one for the future. I see that he's one of the people who will form the bedrock of the Blasters going forward. So in defense, I think it's okay. Then in midfield, Thomas Partey, there have been times when he's been criticized for not really showing up as we know him to do. But this season, after an initial, scare with injuries, he has turned out quite well, very strong. He's put in very, very impressive shifts for us now. I just noticed that he won his goal against Tottenham, won the goal of the match. Those that one and the one he scored against Nottingham Forest were fantastic goals. I hope that he's able to score a lot of those for us at the World Cup. But you can't say much about Partey. Everybody knows what he's capable of. His quality is high up there. Perhaps one of the genuine world-class players that we have in our team, and he will bring a lot to our setup. Then there's Salis, who is impressing in France, and who many people clamored, whose inclusion in the team many people clamored for. So I'm happy that the coach has responded and he's in the team. He certainly will bring a lot of steel to our midfield. The thing with Partey is that the way he plays, he's not the most robust of midfielders, but he gives you a lot. So when he has that kind of covering from a more robust midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder in the shape of Salis, who can put in those rugged tackles, I think that it helps Partey's game. So I look forward to
their partnership.
I want to see how that one develops. Then there's Elisha Owusu, who has proven to be a calm customer. At the very least, in the second half against Nigeria, we saw what he could do. He brought some finesse and calmness to our midfield and controlled the game and enabled us, weather the storm, the kind of pressure that Nigeria had mounted on us after they had equalized and after it dawned on them that they needed to score another goal in order to stand a chance of qualifying. He came in and really calmed our nerves and took control of the midfield. So on the basis of that, I think that he possesses sufficient quality to, at the very least, play second fiddle to whoever the coach chooses to start. Salis, I suspect. And whenever he comes in, he will bring in a lot of quality that we need. There's also Mohamed Kudus, who needs no introduction and who this season has shown that there's an aspect to his game that we could benefit from in terms of goal scoring. He can play as a false nine. He can also play as a number 10. He can even play much deeper in midfield as a number 8. I suspect he can even play as a number 6, given the way that he's versatile. He is also press resistant. You hardly can press him into losing the ball, which is a quality that would inure to our benefit as well. He also has the eye for a good pass, and he can pick out attackers. Perhaps he has been criticized for holding onto the ball too often, but he has responded by saying that as a playmaker, he prefers to hold onto the ball and misplace a few passes, but get that one pass correct or right, that can lead to a goal. So those are things that we need to balance. So clearly, he is going to add some flair to our midfield. There's also Daniel Kofichwe, who is a darling of many Ghanaians. At least in the match against Nicaragua, he showed, even against Brazil, he showed that he could take on defenders and create dangerous situations for our opponents. So I'm glad that he's in there. Then there's Kamal So, I believe, who is also a fantastic addition. He's playing at the highest level for Club Brugge, played in the Champions League. He scored 2 goals already, provided a number of assists. And he's also one that we actually struggled to get hold of. But eventually, I think that he came on at the right time. And he is going to inject some urgency into our play if he gets the opportunity to line up for us. So that is also good. There's also good old Andrea who unfortunately many people like to criticize unfairly. I was in Fortaleza in Brazil in 2014 when we played Germany. And I watched him score after we had gone down. He jumped higher than anybody. He's not the tallest player, but he had jumped the likes of Hummels and Schwedis and others who were much taller than him. And Notre Dame, the match needed equalizer against Neuer, who is not easy to beat at all. One of the very best goalkeepers in the game.
Especially the technique with which he
has to
beat the ball.
And he has given us many moments to cheer about. Admittedly, he's become slower with age. But he also packs a lot of tenacity and experience. And he has a knack for latching onto the second balls. He also has an eye for goal. And you can trust that if there's the odd free kick here, a penalty, you can count on him to deliver. Around the 18-yard box, he is extremely dangerous and can score from any angle. And then he has tons of experience. This will be his 3rd World Cup. And you definitely need people like that. You can't go to the World Cup with novices, no matter how informed they are. So I disagree entirely with those who disparage Andrea Ayew and criticize him for being slower than before. The man is upwards of 30. He cannot be as agile as he used to be. Nobody has that kind of physical strength. And therefore, we need to cut him some slack. So what we need to do is to adapt our game to suit his peculiar needs at the moment, so that we profit from the advantages that he brings to our team. So I think that he's a good fit. And I expect him to score a goal or 2. That's his always done. Every competition that he's played in, he scored a goal.
Yeah.
In the last AFCON, which was quite poor by every standard, he stood out. He scored at least one goal against Gabon, which was a well-taken goal. Not many people can score from a distance that he took the shot. So we need to respect him. We need to respect his contributions and cut him some slack. Fatau Isahaku, who again we must have some patience for. Yeah, he's a very bright prospect. He exploded onto the scene at the African Under-20 competition. So perhaps a lot was expected of him. It has taken him quite some time to develop, but he will get there. He plays for Sporting CP. He's had some cameo appearances in the Champions League. It is not every player who plays in the Champions League. It is not every player going to this World Cup who has the opportunity to play in the Champions League. There are world-class players not playing in the Champions League anymore, but at least he has had that experience and exposure. He is one for the future, definitely. So if today he is not providing the sort of explosion that we expect, we just need to remain calm and allow him some space to grow. He will grow. Against Nicaragua, he showed what he can do. He took a shot that resulted in a goal, the only goal of the match. And he has the ability to do that. He pops up with those shots. He demonstrated it at junior level. Even against Nigeria and Kumasi, he took a shot that really tested the Nigerian goalkeeper. So yes, a number of them will go off target. But a number two will find the target. Some of them yet will score. And then it will add to our tally. And he may win us games. So we need to be patient. He brings a certain quality to the team. He has this left foot, and he has a habit of cutting in. And when players like that cut in, the likes of Anthony has that quality as well. So it happens that many of those shots will go off target, and therefore it will elicit some criticism. But we need to be a bit more patient. I don't expect him to start. I expect him to come off from the bench. But when he does come in, those things too can work. On a good day, he can score a number of goals from distance. And there are times when you have teams that have set up a low block. You cannot penetrate their defense. You can't get into their 18-yard box. You need to shoot from distance. He has one of the best left foots in our team, and one of the best shooting abilities in our team. So we need to harness that talent and give him the opportunity. Sometimes the experience of being at the World Cup, even if you're on the bench alone, is sufficient to boost the player's confidence and get him to perform at higher levels subsequently. So I think we should be a bit patient. We should have room for talent development, even at the highest level. There's also Kamaldeen Sulemana. Kamaldeen Sulemana, unfortunately, is yet to have a very good game for the Black Stars. I think he's featured 3, 4, 5 times, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, but I don't think it is sufficient to judge him on the basis of those matches. We see what he does at club level. Last year, he took the Ligue 1 by storm and put several teams to the sword. Scored spectacular goals, made fantastic runs, took on defenders, ghosted past them as if they didn't exist. So he has that innate quality. Sometimes it takes a bit of time, to warm yourself up into national team setting. So at the World Cup, who is to say that he will explode? And when he does that, we know what quality he brings to our game. So he too is somebody we need to have patience for. We cannot dismiss him on the basis of some less than impressive performances in about 2, 3, 4 games. I think we need to give him a longer run to see what he can do. So he's also a good and useful addition. There's then Jordan Ayew, who is also unfairly vilified. Sometimes I watch him. He plays for Crystal Palace. Week in, week out, he plays. Just this past weekend, he was in action. Now, Patrick Vieira is a very good coach. He's not going to throw the player if he thinks he's not good. Unfortunately, he started off as a striker. So many people expect that he'll be banging in the goals or providing assists as strikers do. But his role has shifted considerably, unless you've not observed him over time. He does not play as an arrowhead anymore. He plays on the wing, especially the right wing. He also has the capacity to play on the left wing. But what he does is that in addition to attacking responsibilities, he takes on a lot of defensive responsibility. At Crystal Palace, he even begins the defense, and he tracks back a lot. Against Nigeria, many people may not have noticed. He was taken off at halftime, but I think it was for tactical reasons, other than the fact that he was not performing. He kept tabs on Emmanuel Dennis in the match against Nigeria. And you need players like that. The reason why some of our left backs or wing backs, get exposed is that they don't have sufficient cover from the attacking wingers. And so it becomes a bit of a problem when we come under pressure. But Jordan Ayew does a lot of that. He tracks back a lot.
At the end of the day, he's a striker, he's a forward. He can only be measured But the return of goals is
Yes,
able
but
to
that
churn out.
is if he has been assigned the role of a forward. If the coach gives him additional responsibility, which provides covering for overlapping defenders, he has to take that responsibility and he has to acquit himself. There are many other players who can score on the field. He doesn't need to score for us to win games. You understand the point I'm making? There are players who do not have defensive responsibilities on the field. And so they have all the time in the world to handle the ball and score. If Jordan Ayew scores, great. But if he helps keep our team in shape and prevent opponents from overrunning us, so be it. So I think that some of the criticism is a bit undeserved. He's not a bad player at all. He's a very, very good player. So he's quite versatile, very fit, and very dedicated to the national cause. So I think that he has earned his place. And some of the criticism is a bit unfair and over the top. I think that we have a habit as a people of being too much in a hurry to retire players. Look, today we are struggling to get goalkeepers. Yeah. But where is Razak Brahima? He is an experienced goalkeeper who has been to, if I'm not mistaken, 2 Cup of Nations. Yeah. So he has a lot of experience. You know that goalkeepers, they even get better with age. Yeah. And he would have slotted in and resolved our goalkeeping problems. But what did we do? Because of some video he posted, he became public enemy number 1. And for that reason, we didn't call him again. But I'm sure that if he was around, we would not have the sort of jitters we are having now in terms of goalkeeping. We like to retire players too early. The moment the player crosses 30, we begin to think of him as old. And we begin to think that he should be discarded. We want players who are only in their 20s to play for the national team. Meanwhile, it doesn't work that way. Look at Dani Alves. He is 39 years old. Yeah. He is not as quick as he was 10 years ago. But Tite is still reposing confidence in him and has taken him to the World Cup because at the very least, he knows a trick or two that younger players may not have in their kitty.
In fact, as we speak, he's trying to recover from an injury.
Absolutely, but he's been taken to the World Cup. Look at Thiago Silva. At 37, he is not the quickest. Jordan Ayew took him to the cleaners a few weeks ago. He was on the ground sprawling. He had to handle the ball because Jordan Ayew beat him. But he comes with tons of experience. Yeah. Against Ghana, he headed in the affair. No, I think he scored. He didn't head it, but he provided an aerial threat against us. And you saw that his experience came to bear. Yeah. But this is Brazil, who are brimming with talent. They have much younger, more robust, more versatile defenders, but they repose confidence in a 38-year-old. At Chelsea has very young defenders, but they repose confidence in him because he brings something. But in Ghana, we are always in a hurry to discard players because they become slightly slower than we know them to be. But no national team can be built that way. You need a blend of experienced and young players to form a good national team. You can't take only novices. You can't take only 20-year-olds or players in their 20s to a World Cup. When you have experienced players who have seen it before, because you need that kind of temperament. You need people who have experienced the terrain and platform and therefore are not going to panic. They don't see Nunes or Valverde or Cavani or Messi or Ronaldo and begin to get frightened because they are unsure of what is going to come. You need a player who has seen it all and therefore will not be overawed. You need leaders on the field because there's only so much a coach can do from the touchlines. But a player standing next to you who is experienced and can shout or back out some, motivation or some instruction to you is vital. So we cannot go to the World Cup with only novices simply because they are on form and discard experienced players simply because they are not as sharp as they used to be. So we need to have a fine play. I think that in their youth, we have sufficiently experienced players who still have something to offer. They have a few years more to go. We should accord them that respect after all the services that they've rendered to us. And we should watch the way that we show ingratitude, to players who have served us simply because they become slower than that. Life doesn't work that way. Experience is to be respected, and we must have room in our sporting arrangements for experienced sportsmen, experienced footballers who can impart their knowledge and share the many, many experiences they've acquired over the years with their younger colleagues. And I think that if we did that, we'll have quite a fine blend. There's also Semenyo, who is also another exciting prospect. His career has been blighted by injuries, but anytime he's had the opportunity to play, at least at club level, you see what he can do. He is ambidextrous. He can use both his left and right feet. He knows how to pick a pass. He can provide assist, and then he can score from all manner of angles. So I'm really happy that he's in there. I thought that Konigsdorfer will get the opportunity. He's also another exciting prospect who has scored quite a number of goals for Hamburg. But unfortunately, the space is limited. So but I trust that in due course, he will find space in the national team and going forward, he will join the new crop of players to give us a solid base in terms of rebuilding when the older ones eventually retire.
out.
But Semenyo has earned his place, I believe so, and I think that he will come good at the World Cup. Then there is Inaki Williams. You know, since Asamoah retired or left the scene, we've lacked that swashbuckling striker who can instill fear in the heart of opposing defenders. We've not had that. We've struggled to find a replacement. Then Inaki Williams provides a ready-made solution. He already has a certain profile. He has speed, he has power, he has pace, and he can score. This season, he scored 5 goals in, I think, 13 matches, which is not a bad return at all. That's almost like 1.5 goals every match, which is a decent return, in my view. Again, he knows how to run behind defenses. And when you watch him, it is not only his goal-scoring ability. Yes, he has been criticized for not scoring as many goals as you would expect from a world-class striker. But in addition to an ability to score quite a number of goals, he also has this ability to take defenders away because of his runs. And he's one of the best. Indeed, there's one match that I watched that he hit a top speed of 34.4 kilometers per hour. For a human being, that is phenomenal speed. And once he takes off like that, defenders are compelled to follow him. And once they move, they create gaping holes behind them, which other players can exploit. And if you have the likes of Kudus, the likes of Andrea, you lurking around when such spaces are opened up, you can be sure that they will bang in the goals. So Inaki is a fantastic addition to our team. And it was worth all the effort that we put in to get him. Because in him, our opponents will realize that there's an extremely dangerous striker who they have to keep an eye on. And that in itself prevents defenders from joining the attack. Because the last thing you want is for opposing defenders to join the attack and pile more pressure on you. So if there's somebody who keeps them busy, or at least gives them pause in terms of the ability to bomb forward and join the attack, it relieves us of some of the pressure. Indeed, if you want evidence of that, just look at the second half against Brazil. In the first half, none of our attackers was able to take on a Brazilian defender. But the moment Inaki came in, he suddenly was able to take the fight to the Brazilian defender because they realized what danger he posed, and therefore they became a bit more conservative. Some say, oh, they took their feet off the pedal, but I don't think that is true. If you are playing Brazil, if they get 10 chances and they have to bury, they will bury them. They will never deliberately take their feet off the pedal. But it was because we had players who they showed more respect to than those who started the match. They had Afinajan, but they knew that Afinajan lacked experience, even if he was a prospect, and therefore they could easily deal with him. But it was not the same when Inaki came in. At least he could take the ball, he could run at them. He took a couple of shots that we did not have in the first half. So that alone is a telltale sign of a quality striker who will bring a lot to our team. Yes, Afinajan did not get opportunity. I'm a bit sentimental about that because I watched him against Nigeria, and he was a thorn in the flesh of Balogun and Trustekon. He gave them hell the whole night. And I thought that he was one of our brightest spots, at least in those 2 games. It is unfortunate that on the balance, certainly Inaki is ahead of him. I also think that Semenyo is slightly ahead of him, and therefore they get the opportunity now. But he's also one that we can cultivate for the future. Things have not gone too well for him, both at Roma and Cremonese. But I think he's warming himself gradually into the Cremonese setup. I think that with time, he will settle in fully. He will get more game time. His experience will build up. And then he will be the complete article who will provide some firepower for us up front. So he's also one for the future that we need to manage, even if we didn't get a slot this time now. So my general assessment of the team is that it is quite balanced. It remains to be seen how the coach blends them into a formidable country. So I look forward to an exciting time, and I think that we should throw our weight behind these players. I've heard people say, oh, because 1 or 2 players are not in, the team is not going to get my spot. That is ridiculous. With the greatest respect to those who hold that. You see, it is a national team. It is not Jeffrey Snob's team. It is not Ashimeru's team. Neither is it, what do you call it, Joe Pencil's team. It is the national team of Ghana. Also, I don't think it can be argued. I'm not one to disparage any player. But on the basis of pure ability, I don't think that Sloop is better than Salis in terms of what they have done this season. Yes, Sloop plays regularly for Crystal Palace, but so does Salis. And when you look at their output in terms of where they play, I think Salis has greater form this season than Sloop.
Yeah.
So if Salis gets into the team ahead of Sloop, I don't think that is such a tragedy. Yes, if there was more space and Sloop would go, why not? I also don't think that, at least on the evidence of what we've seen Elisha Owusu do for the national team when he has been called upon, he is such a bad addition. For which reason, if Sloop does not get in, the world should come to an end. Also, I actually don't like generalists. I like specialists.
Yeah.
Sloop doesn't like playing at left back. But if you have a natural left back available to you, why do you go for a utility player?
Yeah.
When you have a specialist, someone who can play at left back. I don't think that at left back, Sloop is better than either
Gideon Mensah
or
Rahman.
Rahman. Because Sloop actually has played at left back. He's also one of the players who has really not had a very good game for the Black Stars anyway. So sometimes one has to wonder what all the criticism is about. You understand me? But we have to respect the coach's decision. We have to respect the coach's decision. I don't think that it is such a tragedy if you don't have Sloop. Unless you can argue that in midfield where he plays now, he is better than Partey, he is better than Salis, he is better than Elisha. I don't think so.
Okay.
Even though he's a good player, who, if he were part of the team, would not be such a problem. Again, when it comes to Joe Pencil, it has not been stated explicitly, but if you watch the coach's body language and snippets of information that have filtered through, it appears that there is a disciplinary problem.
Yeah.
I am a stickler for discipline. So if a player shows streaks of indiscipline, we must back the coach to enforce discipline in the camp, no matter how good the player is. So we must respect those who have earned the call-up. They are also Ghanaian players. When they go and they will win in the name of Ghana.
Yeah.
But we must begin to appreciate that this is a national team and not the team of any particular individual player.